Back everyone. AirPods 3s have actually just came out and I've been using AirPods 2s for I think like 2 years now or a year and a half now since they came out. And I can tell you I love AirPods 2s and I like AirPods 3s, but there's kind of a difference here. For some reason, and I'll kind of break this down throughout this video, the AirPods 3s, if you have the money, they're definitely the better option. They have a lot of capability. They bring new spatial audio. They bring a lot of different sensors. The microphone thing is the stem is much smaller. I think the battery life should technically be better on here, and it brings MagSafe wireless charging, which is kind of like you like it or don't, it can degrade your battery faster. And it is kind of like a new design, which is nice. But for some reason, I kind of have an issue with these, which I didn't have on my AirPods 2s, and that's actually with fitting into my ear. So I don't know what it is. I've tried this, and it seems like with the AirPods 3s, if I go and take it out here, and if I go and take out my AirPods 2s, so the same one on the same side, you can see that the portion that goes inside of your ear is much thicker on the AirPods 3s. So if I go ahead and zoom in, you can kind of see that this portion is much thicker. So for example, my right ear, if I go ahead and put this specific AirPod into my right ear, it fits perfectly. It is a perfect fit. I can shake my head around, it's not going to move out. Now, hopefully there's not a lot of earwax on this specific one. Now, if I take my AirPods 3, the one that I just bought, and I put it into my right ear, it just does not fit at all. It just comes out like in 2 seconds. So I don't know if my ear holes are small or whatever the case is, but that is one thing I was not expecting. This specific portion of the AirPods 3s are much thicker than the AirPods 2s. So if you're somebody who has a small ear hole like I do, then you're going to have a pretty hard experience of putting this into your ear. My left ear hole seems much thicker. My left ear hole seems to fit this one fine, which is weird, but this one fits much better on both sides. So that is one PSA I want to let you guys know right out the gate. So if the AirPods 2s fit perfectly, the AirPods 3s may not fit perfectly in your ear because for me, it does not fit perfectly. Now zooming out for a second and looking at the cases, you can see the cases are completely different. We now have pretty much the AirPods Pro case for the AirPods 3s. With the AirPods 2s had the standard case, they both kind of fit fine. If I go ahead and turn this over like this, you can see they're pretty much around the same size. So I don't really have a preference. They both kind of feel the same. So I'm really cool about that. On the bottom, lightning charger. In terms of thickness and thickness, I think they're about the same too. I think the AirPods 2 seem a little thicker, but they both kind of feel the same thing. And on the back, almost the same type of setup as well. You get the one button on the back, the reset button, the little module for the flipping up and down of the thing, and that pretty much covers it. There's not a whole lot else going on with these. Now flipping them open, you can definitely see, again, a little bit of a different design that I kind of mentioned earlier, and then you have the AirPods themselves, which is awesome. Now if I go ahead and take out these AirPods, and I lay them on the table, and I take out these AirPods, and I lay these on the table as well. I wanted to go ahead and just put these AirPods inside of this case and see if they actually fit or if they do anything, and they actually don't, so it doesn't look like you can, universally charge either one of these. Now closing this and closing this one, looking at the AirPods themselves, you can kind of see where the bigger changes are. So not only is the actual portion that goes inside of your ear much thicker, but the stem is actually smaller, which is actually pretty impressive. So at first glance, that may seem like the only difference. I'll use this one instead. So at first glance, that may seem like that's the only difference, but that may not be the case, because if you actually look at the stem itself, there really is an actual button now on the actual AirPods, which is pretty insane. So right at this portion right here, you actually do get a full-on button that you can configure inside of your settings, which is really awesome. You can skip things, you can go ahead and accept a phone call, different things like that. With the AirPods 2s, we didn't have that. We had that double tap feature if you want to, do Siri and different things like that. But it does seem like with the AirPods, 3s, you do have a little bit more capability there, which I'm actually a huge fan of. And looking at on the back like this, you can kind of see, again, we're getting a little bit different of a setup for the most part. Now, one of the biggest difference between both of these AirPods is actually, comes down to spatial audio. The AirPods 2s didn't really have spatial audio for the most part, at least not that I can think of. With the AirPods 2s, you actually do get this feature, which is really awesome. Now, they do mention other things like adaptive EQ, spatial audio with dynamic head tracking, and that's really cool stuff, and I'm actually a huge fan of that. It is apparently like three-dimensional. If for those of you who have ever been to a theater or anything like that, you do actually end up getting kind of like a surround sound type of thing, which I think is really cool. With the AirPods, I'm a fan of that. AirPods Maxes have it too, and now these standard AirPods 3s have that capability, which is really, really cool. Now with pretty much everything else, it kind of seems the same. It's kind of more the same. If you're somebody who's okay with AirPods 2s, then by all means, I really don't think it's a crazy worthwhile upgrade if you already have AirPods 2s. But I will tell you, these ones, if they fit inside of your ear, these are the ones that I would recommend a lot more people to buy. And the main reason for that is because this is the design that Apple has been, I don't know who's been leaking it, but this design has been leaked year after year after year. This design is kind of old. Everyone's kind of already known this. This is that newer type of design. Apple spent a lot of money trying to get this design out there. So they're not switching from this anytime soon. So within the next 4 years, we're probably going to be seeing the same design. So if you jump on it now, you can get that new type of technology. On top of that, if we go ahead and kind of go back to the cases, like we mentioned, nothing super crazy. Of course, wireless charging, we now have the MagSafe capability, but Apple has actually estimated that we're now getting better battery life from these AirPods Pros than on AirPods 2s. So that is a really cool thing. The fact that we can go ahead and get better, battery life from these two AirPods is really cool, and I'm a fan of that for sure. Now, that doesn't mean that the AirPods 2's battery life is bad. Like I mentioned, I had a really good battery life on the AirPods 2s as well. I still feel like AirPods Pros were probably a little bit better, but that's a pretty cool thing too. On top of that, and this is something I really have to say, the audio quality between these two, I will definitely tell you I was getting much better audio quality, not much better, a little bit better audio quality from my AirPods 3s than on my AirPods 2s. I think the only reason for that is because these things do seem like they fit closer into my ear. So if we look at the AirPods, Pro, for example, so if we look at the AirPods 2, for example, and if we look at this, you can kind of see that the portion that goes inside of your ear sticks in a little bit more. Even though I'm getting a harder time trying to put it into my ear, once I kind of hold it in place, it does seem like not only is there better audio quality, but the bass quality as well that Apple actually highlighted is much better on the AirPods 3s, which is really awesome. With the AirPods 2s, I didn't really notice the bass too much. I did make music for a while, and I still make it every once in a while, to be honest. And I use my AirPods, but I did notice that the bass was one of those things that I wasn't getting a stable experience from, that I had to go switch to maybe like the AirPods Maxes, and those kind of helped out a little bit, or those Sony headphones as well. But now it does seem like, even based on what their, keynote kind of looked like, that the bass quality on this has actually improved. And that is the case. If you play very, bass intensive music, you're going to be getting a better experience with the AirPods 3s than on something like the AirPods 2s. That doesn't mean the AirPods 2s are horrible headphones now or anything, but if bass is important to you and if you like getting that kind of like low sounding audio quality, and if you're somebody who wants to get that type of audio quality from your specific headphone, then this is probably something you want to look into, because it may actually end up giving you a better experience overall. So now we kind of make it to the end. And to be honest, like I mentioned before, I don't think I'm going to fully switch over to my AirPods 3s from my AirPods 2s. And the only reason for that is because these things just don't fit right in my ear, which is so crazy. Like I mentioned, I have smaller ear holes than probably the average person. I don't know how to describe that in like real life. But it does seem like in this specific case that AirPods 2s may be the only headphones that can fit inside of my ear. It is kind of crazy because with this stem, it's much thicker than I thought. So that is one big thing. If you're having a hard time keeping AirPods 2s inside of your ear, you're going to have a much harder time actually having AirPods 3s fit inside of your ear as well. I don't think it's a deal breaker or anything like that, but it is something you should probably keep in mind. You may want to try out AirPods Pros if you want a little bit more customizability, but these AirPods 2s are probably the thing I'm going to end up keeping. I already have them, but the AirPods 3s, I'm not too sure what's going on with them. I thought they were going to be the same size as these ones, at least for like the stem part that goes inside of your ear, but I guess not. But I guess the choice is yours. Maybe I'm just complaining too much. If you guys have any other questions or anything like that, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.